Welcome back. So we have a problem right now because right now we've hard-coded this in our code, and that would mean if I had to do a put, delete, a post request, I would hard-code it all again. So I don't want to do that. I want to get this into a global file that I can use all over my code whenever I need to get the actual path for my REST API, right? So we're going to move this guy into something called the environment file, right? And then we can have multiple different environment files. If we want to be just developing, then we'll use the development file. If we want to use production to go live, we'll use the production environment file. And let me try and show you where they're hidden. So first of all, I'll copy this URL right here all the way to API. I don't want /customer. That's very relevant only for the customer service, not for the actual backend or the endpoint of our REST API. So I'm going into the folder over here called environments, and that's right on the source. There's a folder called environments, and there I'll open the environment guy right here and create a new property. And I just do that by doing a comma and calling it, let's just call it API endpoint right here. You can put in whatever you want, and that name I'm just going to put that in right here as our actual live endpoint right now. I know you could actually just add this as the localhost. So we could also do it like this, saying localhost 5000, and right now my localhost is actually running, so I can easily do that. So now my local setup will be on localhost 5000 like this. Okay, so now I have my endpoint ready. Let's try and use it inside our service right here. So what I'll do is all this greatness I just copied, I'll just remove that. And then instead of actually having putting it in here, I'm going to just use my environment file, environment, there it is, and I'm going to use that from the environment TS file like this. I'll do a dot, and then the API endpoint is available that I just created. And I'll just do a plus right here. So now I've actually set up the path again, but now it's to localhost right now. And why didn't I put it as the live environment? Well, let me try and show you something pretty cool. First of all, let's see if this works with the localhost. So I'm just going to, this is the localhost running right now. That seemed to work at least. Let's try and see if we got some people in our actual app, and we did. So now that is actually running with the localhost. And we just moved, notice how simple this is to read now. And if I ever want to change the API endpoint, I just have to do it one place, and that's inside the environment file. So now we can reuse it all over the code. Splendid. Now, what if I want to actually test against the live environment? Let me try and show, because this is awesome. I'm going to make inside the environment called environment.prod.ts right here. I'm going to make the same variable, API endpoint, exactly the same name, endpoint, and I'm going to put in the other URL, the live URL right here. Same idea. I end with API in the end here. Notice they're just the same. The difference is that the server is different, right? Localhost here, and here we have the AzureNet server right here. So now we have another environment. How do we use it? Well, let me try and show you that, because I'm not changing anything in here. Notice that. That's set up now. It's ready to work with. But if I want to go and try the live environment now, I just have to write, instead of ng serve, I'll write ng serve double dash or double minus environment, and then I'll write prod, right, for production, like I have right here in my name over here. It says prod right there. So you just have to put that name in there, and notice what happens. It starts up the server again, but now the environment is set for this endpoint instead of this endpoint. Isn't that sweet? Very simple way for you to test either live or development. So if you don't have internet, for instance, you can just jump to your local environment, start up your REST API, and if you have internet available, you can go and test on your live environment. Now, just to test if this really is the live environment, I'm going to jump into my Visual Studio and shut it down now. And let's just try and run this again. And everything's still running. So at least it is the live. Let's do one more thing. Let's try and run the local version again, where I just remove the environment prod right here. And let's see if that still runs, because now the server is not running. So that way I can see it's actually going to fail if it tries this out now on the localhost. So right now it should be running this one, and I don't have a local installation up and running, so I should actually crash. And there we go, it can't get the data. So it works. Now all I have to do whenever I want to go to the production, I just have to call that environment prod, and when I want to be local hosting, I just want to keep it ng serve. Very simple. See you in the next lesson. Have fun.